Hey everybody, it's Mike Jeff for ChicagoJazz.com, and welcome to the feature interview for our brand new format, Chicago Jazz Digital Magazine. We're launching a brand new issue online every single month, and I am so excited to have Maurice Mobetta Brown here with us today. He is in town, he's got shows coming up, but we're going to talk all about how he got started in jazz, how he's traveling all over the world playing, arranging, winning Grammys, and everything else, so stick around. We're back here with Maurice Brown. He's back in town. I'm so happy, Maurice, you could stop in here to the hot dog stand. I'm not even going to ask you the question because I am positive that you have never done an interview about jazz in front of a set of hot dogs in a hot dog stand on the south side of Chicago.
This is definitely the first time.
Hopefully not the last. Hopefully not the last. I think you are enjoying your hot dog too, by the way. So
I
that's
love
very
this
good.
place, yeah.
It's beer and hot dogs. There's nothing better.
What is there not to like?
I don't know. So let's just get right into it here, because as a jazz musician, you're playing all over the world. You're doing all of these different things. I love the fact that you're also incorporating all of the hip hop and rap and funk and everything else into your music in addition to jazz. But I know, because you and I had met years and years ago when you used to sit in at Andy's, and I was playing and sitting in as well. You started and came up through the jazz ranks, if you want to call it that. So when you were in like 5th, 6th grade, is that when you started playing? I think we were talking a little bit off camera.
Yeah, I definitely started playing trumpet when I was in 5th grade.
Yeah.
That's when I started to realize that I was going to play it. When they let you pick all your instruments. I originally went to play saxophone, but when I went to the musical director and I told him I wanted to play saxophone, I was very confident. I walked in the room, chest poked out. What instrument you want to play? Saxophone. It's like, oh, you sure about that? Saxophone's the most expensive instrument we have here. He said, why don't you try the trumpet? And I thought, I'm like, oh man, my parents really don't have tons of money. This probably be considerate to not get the most expensive instrument.
Yeah, right. Because you're renting it, right? Is that you were kind of renting it on a monthly thing, or what was it?
I don't remember, because that it wasn't even my concern at that point. They would take care of all of that, I maybe it was like a rent to own kind of situation.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but they got me the trumpet right away. Showed me how to hold the mouthpiece and make a sound, and I grabbed it and I said, he says, man, you're a natural. You play trumpet.
Probably you had a bunch of kids in there squeaking and honking and everything else, right? I mean, it's like, it's 5th grade, right?
It's hard, it's hard. The trumpet's hard. It's like, your initial instinct when you grab the horn is just to blow through it. You're like,
yeah, right.
and it's all like vibrations. So like you have to vibrate your lips to like a balloon. When it's big and you let a little bit out, that's exactly what's going on here. You seal it up. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why I knew that, but he just told me like, hey, put your lips together and buzz, and showed me how to do it, and I just automatically
That's amazing.
did it. Yeah, it was cool.
And like that. There was no like.
No, I stayed in beginners band for like 3-4 weeks, and then got moved to intermediate band. Then the next year I was there for like 3-4 days, and intermediate to advanced senior band. It was kind of like it just made sense to me, and I've always been kind of like, a natural at the horn. Like, to get better, that took a lot of time and practice.
Yeah.
At first, I wasn't about that. I was just like, oh, just pick it up right before a concert or something, and go over it. And people loved it. Everyone loved it, and it worked perfectly until I got into the real world, and I got my butt kicked, and I was like, oh, I don't know anything.
Well, when you were coming up, was it like, were you reading music, but it was like the whole notes, half notes, quarter notes, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I was learning to read music in school. But, I had played guitar a little bit before I had played trumpet. My
was it your uncle a guitar player, right?
Yeah, Bobby Slim James. He took me under his wings, and he got me started on the guitar before I even played trumpet. So I played that for almost a year until I saw some rock and rollers like rock out, and I loved it. And they smashed their guitars at the end. So I started smashing my guitar all around. And I remember he came to check on me like the same day, he came to check on me. He goes, oh, that's the end of your guitar days, I guess. I'm like, what? But for some reason, I thought you get new ones or something. I thought that was I don't know what I was thinking, but yeah, I was pretty young.
So you smashed the guitar and that was it?
That was it.
You,
So I had to
you
wait.
thought that maybe it just came back to life or something? Or?
I guess so. I don't know. I was thinking I was in maybe 4th grade or something. Then. So the next year it was 5th grade. That's when I picked the trumpet up.
And you already knew not to smash the trumpet.
Oh yeah, trust me, I've learned my lesson because I was lonely, like a lonely time without no music. Because I had smashed my guitar. It's like
So you're like in high school. Is that kind of when they started amping it up? Where all of a sudden you're like, whoa, wait a minute, I got to really kind of pick up my game here. And
No,
figure out how
well,
to play,
in high school I still was the best too. Like I was the best, like as young people go. But that wasn't my concern because I started getting introduced to all these jazz legends, and they were the real deal. I was like, oh man, I was like, whatever I'm doing, I was like, yeah, you're not doing anything, bro. I'm like, you gotta figure out what they're doing, you know. And
what was the first album or the first horn player, trumpet player that you heard that you were like, whoa? Like, was it Miles or was it some, you know?
I think when I first heard Miles, I wasn't a big Miles fan. He's like my favorite now.
Sure.
But when I first heard him, he wasn't my favorite. I said, oh man, he's cracking notes and he's, you know, I don't know, like, you know, I just like, I wasn't into it. I didn't get it. The guy who resonated more with me was Lee Morgan, and I was like, he was just like supreme. I was like, oh, Lee Morgan is everything. Like every note he played, I was like, he means every note he's playing, you know, and that was it for me. And then I went through my stages where, you know, I started practicing so much and learning, like, ideas.
Yeah, Lee Morgan, that is not easy stuff. And were you like, did you have a teacher then, or were you just kind of
I was doing it by ear at that point. I was like by myself listening to records, transcribing, like, you know. I always had this thing about transcribing. Like I would start to transcribe something, and then I'd go, well, don't play it like that. That's how you play it. I'd play it like this in my mind, like switch it. And I remember like transcribing a bunch of stuff and then saying, you know what, you can't play any of these things on your gig. Like, it's not your ideas, you know. And thinking of myself, because I listen to a lot of people and I can literally pick records where ideas are coming from their solos. I'm like, oh yeah. And so one day I thought to myself, like, imagine like everybody you love, all your favorite trumpet players are in the audience, and like, what would you play then? So now that's like my standpoint when I go on stage. I'm thinking like, if they're all in the audience, what you're gonna play? Like, you can tilt your hat to them as a tribute, but you can't bite them. Like, like, oh yeah, I remember that one. That was a good one. I almost forgot about that. You know, I was like, you hear that your whole solo. You know, so you have to be original and you have to, you know, say something, you know, that's worthy of people listening.
And you were thinking about that when you were young then, right?
Yeah.
Because that's like opposite, right? Because a lot of people transcribe everything and then they want to learn it note for note and then they want to go regurgitate it on stage just as part of the learning process, right?
Yeah, I never wanted to be like one of those kind of players, but I was definitely a vibe player or essence player, if you would. Like, I'd play so much of Lee Morgan that when I'd go out, people go, man, you sound so good, man. You sound like Lee Morgan. And then they would make me upset. Because I'm like, no, I don't want to sound like Lee Morgan, even though that was who I was trying to sound like. Right. Get into Freddie. Oh, man, I played with Curtis Fuller. Man, you sound great, man. Remind me of Freddie. When I'm like, oh. You know, I was like thinking these things. So that's when you had to be like, you know, really step out. And even just if you wasn't playing verbatim what someone's playing, but the essence of it or something, still people was associating it so closely that, you know, you felt like it wasn't original enough.
Right.
That wasn't good enough for me.
Yeah.
So I just kept trying to dig. And I think the moment it clicked for me is when I started writing my original music.
Oh, okay.
That helped me find my voice more. And it was kind of like, yeah, this is what I want to say, and this is how I want to say it over it, and everything just got so much clearer. So I stopped playing a lot of the standards and a lot of the songs and started writing. I never recorded a standard on any of my records. They're all original songs on every record. So it's like I have tons of originals, and I just get inspired and I start composing. And,
How old were you when you started writing originals? Were you in high school?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So you were in high school, but it's interesting because nowadays, like the young kids coming up through college and stuff, and we all talk to them and everything, and I love the fact they want to get into the original music, but they actually have never really learned the standards the way you learned the standards.
That's a big problem, yeah.
Right, right, and
the foundation has to be there to.
Because if you're talking about being able to play like Lee Morgan, Freddie Hubbard, Miles Davis, everything else, then you play your original stuff, and then you're finding your voice. But if you never learn how to do that, you don't know what the bass is.
Yeah, exactly. So you're just basically just shooting in the dark. Which, I guess could be cool or whatever. I'm not knocking anybody,
Yeah,
but
right.
Well, the things that stand the test of time. That's what we're talking about. You
Right,
know, that's
exactly.
gonna have substance. And I feel like when you dig deep into yourself and you're honest with yourself and you really try to write from that place, where it's just how you feel at that moment. You're just documenting basically.
Right.
Like that's how I look at my records, man. It's like. Some people are like, I hate listening to myself back in the day, like I sucked in or whatever. I hear people saying stuff like that. I'm like, not me. I'm like, I enjoy it. It's like watching a video or something. I remember where I was then.
Yeah.
That's all right. Good job, Little Mo.
Little Mo.
Yeah, you gotta get it together. Don't worry. Like it's fine. It's just documenting what it is, and it's a beautiful thing, when you think about it, because to go back and to see your progress, we're so busy living and trying to advance in whatever we're doing, whether it be, our daily lives or relationships or instrument, that we forget of our progress that we're making in it, because we don't look back. It's not like losing weight and look at the scale every day.
Right.
You're just
right.
oblivious to it. You're just living and you're just doing your thing, and years go by, months go by, years go by, and then this thing you're like, oh wow.
I can play and I'm on stage and I won a Grammy. Hey, look at that.
What happened?
Well, and I think it's interesting too, because when you record something when you're 16 or 17 or 18, obviously when you're 30, 40, 50, 60, it's not going to, hopefully it sounds better.
Yeah.
But at that moment, you're just inspired because you liked what you just did at that age, and you're so proud and you're showing everybody, and that's part of the growing process as well.
A huge part of it, yeah.
I'm
just glad to be able to look back and be able to have all that stuff documented, and then have so many people grow with me through the process. It's been really good. Well,
and so when you're in high school, I mean, you were starting to sit in and play different places and all that stuff, but you were also meeting a lot of people, like well-known legendary guys, because I can remember seeing you at the showcase a lot, and you just happen to have your horn, and they just happen to know who you were and all that stuff. How did that happen? Did you just, you were one of those guys with the courage and you just go up on stage or something, or what was going on?
Not so much. I think it was more thought out than that. It was actually my thing I was doing. I'd figure out, I knew where the people were staying at the jazz showcase. I knew the hotel.
Yeah.
So I said, they're all staying there, and they're all staying, and I just called the hotel and asked for them. They connect me.
And they weren't like Lady Gaga with a fake name or something.
No,
it was like if Nicholas Payton's there,
yeah,
it's Nicholas
right
Payton.
there. You call and say, hey, man, hey, Nicholas Payton. It's Nicholas Payton, yeah. It's Maurice Brown. I'm a young trumpeter in Chicago. I was wondering if I could take you to lunch today. And they'd say, sure.
Free lunch? Sounds good to me.
And then you go to lunch, and then you build, and next thing you know, you start talking with them, and you become friends, and they say, man, you're pretty cool. Why don't you come to the show tonight, And I'm like, oh, that'd be great. And they say, oh, bring your horn, I said, oh, okay, And at this point, sometimes people wouldn't even know if you could play or not. But they could kind of tell by your conversation.
When you're talking to them.
Because we start talking about certain things, and they kind of be like, okay, And I think they were curious themselves to say, like, what does this cat sound like? Yeah.
So you would go in and you'd sit down and you'd sit in and start sitting in with these guys, and that's how you got to know those guys, right?
Yeah, and it was like I had to get past that first barrier of Joe Siegel, though. Like he was definitely not playing around. Like every time I go there, and he'd go, $20. I say, oh man, I'm on the list. He goes, oh yeah, where? I'm like, right there. And he's like, oh, okay. So you are. All right. And I go. Yeah, but
I've seen that, man. I just did his book with him, and I love Joe, but I've seen that like over the past 2 years. It's like you got it down to a T. You're like, let me see where that is. Like you're trying to break out of jail or something and get into his club.
It worked, because I always be on the list. But if I came with a girl or something, he definitely made me pay for that. He was like, she's not on the list. Like, okay. Then you have to pay because they want to look bad. Like,
right. What are you gonna do?
Thanks a lot, Joe.
Well, so then you're sitting in with these guys, and are they calling you to go out and play gigs and things like that? I mean, once you got to know them a little bit.
Eventually, yeah, it turned into a relationship, a working relationship, and but before anything, I'm just cool.
Yeah,
and just
right.
Being chill. It doesn't sound chill. Like you're calling the hotel.
Did you want to go to lunch?
Yeah, it's like it doesn't sound chill, but it was definitely chill every time. And it's like no one said no. Like,
isn't that amazing though?
Yeah, it
Isn't
was
that
like
amazing?
everyone was like yes. It was like
I mean, because I don't know if I would say yes. Like if somebody called me up and said, "Hey, you want to go to lunch?" I'd be like, I don't know, man. I kind of want to just relax in my room. So those guys were. Since you know a lot of these guys and and you've traveled all over and you keep meeting more and more people, don't you feel like, and especially in all the different genres, don't you feel like jazz musicians are like the most down to earth, where they're just like, yeah, sure, no problem, whatever, they'll just hang, or are there other guys like that?
I don't know. It's kind of hard to say because a lot of people. It just depends on how comfortable people are with themselves. You know? Like if they're secure in themselves and comfortable in their own skin, then they don't really trip off of like protocol of like celebrity protocol. It's kind of like are just normal people. Mm-hmm. I met some people that that you would have no idea that they would be so down to earth. But then you think like, why wouldn't you be like?
Yeah, you're right. You're on Earth.
You're on Earth. That's where we are. So. Yeah,
but
cool.
I always felt like the jazz musicians, just because of the hanging out and the coming up through the clubs.
The jazz musicians definitely have a more of a, I would say more of a nurturing vibe as far as like wanting to see people succeed in the genre. Like they don't want the music to die.
So you're hanging out, you're meeting all these people. And did you go to college? You went to NIU, I think, for a little while, right?
Yeah, I went to Northern Illinois University, and I went to Columbia College. Mm-hmm. And I went to Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. That's what got me to Louisiana.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I studied with
How'd you decide to go down there?
Well, a good friend of mine, Quamon Fowler, was studying there with the late, great Alvin Batiste. And he had this thing where a system called the root progressions that Quamon was telling me about, and he just was raving about it, and he was actually teaching it to me like over the phone. He was like, and I was learning it, and it was opening me up so much, and I saw how much I was growing. I was like, this guy down there really taught you this? He's like, yes, he taught me. He taught Branford Marcellus, Reginald Ville,
really?
Henry Butler. He's like, man, this guy's incredible. You got to check him out. And so I said, okay, I'm going to go down there. I went to school, and I started learning from Alvin Batiste.
Wow.
I joined his group, the Jazztronauts, and that we were doing gigs in New Orleans and all over, and that's how I got to Snug Harbor in New Orleans, which turned into a steady. Well, I did every Tuesday there. We were like selling out every Tuesday.
And you're going to college down there, and that's why you're down there. Or at that point, were you like done with college?
Well, at that point, I was done because it was getting pretty intense because coming back and forth like that was like a lot. And I didn't want to pass up opportunities to play because I felt like that was where my real college was.
Right, yeah,
so
right.
I'm not going to say no to Clark Terry to go overseas to stay here,
Yeah, right.
Doesn't make any sense. This is 2 months. I'm going to do this real quick.
Right.
A month, 2 months, that throws you off in school.
Oh, yeah, of course. But you're learning what you want to learn, so why are you in school, right? I mean, that's
the theory, So I had that struggle a lot, where it was like I had to be there, but then I had to go out and do something really epic with like Dr. Billy Taylor or something.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, like all these great, Nathan Davis, all these great musicians would take me and teach me, and they would teach me the ways of the music, and playing gigs with like Johnny Griffin was like incredible. You know what I mean? Like,
it's a legend, man. It's a
I mean, like it's like some things you just can't. Like when I listen to some of these records and I actually got a chance to play with some of these guys and to get to know them, I play with Elvin Jones, or I play with Curtis Fuller, or Louis Hayes, and all this. I'm just like, man.
Oh yeah, I mean and yet you're there, and there's like jazz history happening right next to you, like Alvin Jones or somebody, and he's throwing down, and you're sitting there going, "Holy mackerel!"
Yeah, it's my first time ever playing with Alvin. I remember I was like, we're on stage, and I let like a whole course of 12 bar, 2 courses of the blues go by before I played one note on my solo, because the swing was just so perfect. And I was listening, I was like, now, come in now. I was like, no, don't mess it up. But I came in like, bam, when it was time. After that, now you could just hear, you make this noise. I was listening to that. It was like in time with his rhyme, ride symbol. I was like, oh man, I was just like gone.
Were you traveling with him or just playing one-offs?
I did like one-offs with him.
Yeah.
One-offs. And it was great because the bands were like, Delphio Marcellus and Eric Lewis, Frank Foster.
Bunch of hackers, huh?
Yeah, it was pretty dope. Yeah, I remember being like, man, these guys are the real deal. That's been my whole thing, like being blessed to play with so many jazz legends and getting to know how it's supposed to really go.
Yeah.
It's like, that's it. Like, if I get spoiled, man. It's kind of hard to go from that and then to go from that to pretend.
Right.
And I think that's what I kind of was like, okay, a lot of these guys are leaving us right now. And I was like, you need to kind of just hone in on what your message or what you want to do right now and what you want to say. And that's when I started writing a lot. Like I said, like when I started writing, my voice came out a lot more. And producing and everything started making sense. Like the way I got into the whole production world was a trip too.
Well, so you're in New Orleans, you're playing gigs and stuff. Did you stay down there for a while?
Oh yeah.
And did you start doing your writing and producing stuff there?
Yeah, that's where it all really went down in New Orleans. So it was this whole movement there where everyone was like...
Is that before or after Katrina? And all
this
that?
is all before Katrina.
Before Katrina, okay.
This is the golden days of New Orleans.
Yeah, right?
I'm talking about... It was so beautiful, man. That's the main reason why I didn't leave to New York. I said, you know what? I think I'm going to stay here and I'm gonna be here in New Orleans and... I gotta just stay here and soak this up. I was like, because there's something about these players here. Like the kids there, they were like playing on the street and it was so soulful. It was like something they had that was so right.
Yeah.
And I was like, a lot of people don't have. And this is really important. I was like, I was trying to figure it out, So I was like, I gotta go down and eat the food, drink the water, talk. I'm like, something's up down here. They got it.
It's like generational or something, right? It's just in their soul.
It's there. Right? Like it's just a soulful place. The city is soulful itself. Like I can't think of a more soulful city than New Orleans. Like when you go down there, just the people, everyone, the whole vibe of it is just like that's why you get stuck. You never want to go. A lot of people never go. Because I wasn't supposed to live there. I was supposed to go there for like a week. A week turned into like, 5-6 years or something, So I was not supposed to go down like that. But
So you ended up down there and you're playing and then you start writing and you're producing stuff because that was that was the scene down there.
That was the scene, and I had all these connects from Chicago, from all the jazz legends, and I was going out with them and doing gigs with them, and all those gigs were like great shows and opportunities and paid really well. And met a lot of cool promoters, and
Is that how you started getting into the hip hop stuff too, and into all of the other styles of music that you're doing? Because if you're playing with jazz legends, that's pretty much what you're doing. But how did you make that flip and all of a sudden get into that side of it?
Well, I was doing a lot of horn arrangements for a lot of like hip hop producers and artists.
Okay.
And that was my intro. So basically, I would go in and do horn arrangements and then vibe out and they're like, oh, these horns are amazing. I'm like, oh, thanks. By the way, I got some tracks too. Like, oh yeah, let me hear it.
Yeah.
Oh man, oh, this is great. And I get on the album. You know what I mean? That was the way. It was always like some side way to get in. Like, and it usually would come through the horn first. But now it's coming just straight from production. Now people are like, oh, let me get some tracks. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Film score on this or whatever. But at that time, it was definitely like, everyone just knew me for playing trumpet.
Right.
And the horn, I was doing some pretty cool horn arrangements in New Orleans, and the word was getting out. And people were like, oh, man.
Well, it's probably totally different than, like, if they're going to hire somebody to play something on a hip-hop thing or something, the horn arrangement that somebody else would come up with is probably really lame compared to what you're coming up with. You know what I mean? Right?
I'll let you say that and not me say that. But
well, you know what I mean.
But I think I was coming from a bigger bag. Of,
that's what I mean.
Yeah, it was a bigger perspective of genres and just music, understanding music. So I started really, getting with some really great horn players in towns and writing like some dope arrangements and laying it down.
So now you're writing arrangements. You're
and I started my band too, Sold You Out. That was when I founded the band Sold You Out. Was in New Orleans, and it was like me and Jon Batiste from
Stay Human, late
exactly.
night.
So we were in that band together. And
you were in Jon Batiste's band down there.
Yeah, he was in my band.
He was in your band.
And
so does that mean you get a percentage of his late night money?
Oh no, I've done like some stuff with him there actually. Don Hentley, I did. I did the show with Don Hentley there, and John hooked that up.
Oh, nice!
Some nice trumpet solos.
Nice. How did you end up with Tedeschi and Trucks?
Tedeschi-Trucks Band. I ended up with them.
I mean, that's like a totally different thing than what you're doing with the jazz and with hip hop and everything else.
But I've also had a foot in the jam band world, and that's how that happened because I was rocking a lot with Lettuce at that time.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so with Eric Krasno and Derek Trucks are really good friends, and so when Derek was ready to get horns with Tedeschi-Trucks, he talked to Krasno, and Krasno recommended me. He said I need a horn player, I need a horn section. Oh yeah, you gotta get Maurice Brown, and at that time it was like Rashawn Ross was playing with them.
Okay,
and he plays with Dave Matthews Band now.
Yeah.
And I was playing with them, so me and Rashawn were going back and forth. And then when Sean left for Dave Matthews, and I snuck in, and I was like doing most of the Lettuce gigs, and then all of a sudden, Tedeschi-Trucks called, and I went and did that for 5 years. Wow, man. And so, and it was like, oh man, I had to go. I mean, Derek and Susan, they're amazing. It was an amazing opportunity, and I grew so much with them, and I learned so much with them.
Did you play a lot of solos? I mean, are they blowing solos?
Yeah, I got to get some sections. I got to get solos. It was cool. Like people definitely were digging what I was bringing to the table, especially with the horn arrangements.
Oh, sure.
And again, that was another end with that. Like we were doing the records, and I was doing the horn arrangements, and touring and going like trading with Derek. Like it's like the way he handles that energy. I always compare it to like riding a bull or something or surfing. Like it's that wave, he's like in control. Like I learned a lot from him, like watching him, like maneuver.
Yeah. That band is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's been.
You still playing with them every once in a while?
No, I haven't been playing with them. I've been so busy doing so many different things, which I couldn't do when I was with them.
Right.
It's just that, and they're very like much. So like when you're in the band, it's like you're in the band. It's exclusive.
Right. Well, they do like 100 dates a year when they're out on tour. Are they doing like 200 dates?
200?
I don't know. You tell me.
Maybe 250.
Really? I mean, they're out that. I know they do the summer tour and the fall tours and stuff. I never
Probably about between 200 and 250
Wow, man.
days a year. I remember being home like maybe a week, a month, and then sometimes I'd be gone for months. And then I come have like 1 month off or something. That was like for like 5 years. So that was
amazing.
Like,
oh, I mean,
yeah, it was definitely an experience, an amazing experience. And
the
I wouldn't trade it for the world. You know, like
man.
you know. But when it was time for me to leave, it was time to go not because I had to. It's just that I knew that they were never going to stop. Like, they're not going to stop. Right. And he told me from day one when I got in the band, he was like, this man can easily be together for the next 15, 20 years. And when he told me that, I was like, oh, probably not me. I'll probably be here for like a year or two.
Yeah, right.
Because at that point, I was already playing with my band at Carnegie Hall, touring, like, doing festivals all over the world. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm good, you know. I was like, yeah, this is an amazing opportunity, but I didn't think I was going to be, like, pulled in for 5 years with it. Like, I had no idea that was the vibe, you know. But it was just so hard to leave, like, and it flew by so fast. It was like, 5 years, you know. And I was like,
man, oh man. Well, so when you left that, you concentrated on producing stuff, and you really threw your whole thing in. So let's talk a little bit about the production of it, your end of that, and what you're doing now, and you know where all your music's heading. Because I know you got a bunch of projects. Plus, you're singing, you're rapping, you're doing all this stuff. I was watching the YouTube clips, man. It's very cool.
Thank you. Yeah, well, I left the band and I started my solo album, my next solo album, which is called The Mood. Mm-hmm. So I tell people, when you want to set the mood, you play Maurice Brown, The Mood. And so that's a little catchphrase for you guys to remember that. So I'm really proud of that. Again, another album with all originals.
Yeah.
And I have some special guests on the album, like Talib Kweli is on it, and Chris Turner is on it. Saunders Sermons is also on the album. You know, we got Chris Bowers on keys, Solomon Dorsey on bass.
And what kind of vibe is that album? Kind of let everybody know, because it's not the straight ahead kind of
it's
stuff.
It's Mobetta music.
It's
Mobetta music vibe. Like, it's kind of hard for you to just say, like, it's not straight ahead. It's not your typical, regular hip hop jazz, what you would say. It's just different. It's the way I hear it. It's very honest way of me painting the picture for you, of what I see right now. And especially this record, The Mood, it's like I'm covering all the different moods in this particular climate that we live in right now, this political climate. It's just
is there something going on?
It's very intense. And so I think I did a pretty good job capturing that in this record. Like, so when you listen to it, you're going to remember, oh yeah, I remember what was going on during that time.
Yeah.
And a lot of the record is about tension and release. So I have, with the times are very tense right now, I wanted to make a record to give people a sense of hope and, and feel more inspired and just take a break from that. But the whole album is not just all peaches and cream. Like it goes through different moods. Like you have shenanigans and you have Baraka dance hall. You have different destination hope, different stages that you go through, different moods, different settings, and I really am happier with it. To me, it's like I'm most proud of that album today.
Yeah.
And the response has been overwhelming. Like I've never had so many people jump on board of an album before. Like, especially being mostly an instrumental album. Mm-hmm. There's a few vocals on it, like I mentioned. Mm-hmm. But there's only like 2-3 songs.
You're really getting a crossover audience, and your audience is growing now too. So it makes a lot of sense that people would really start digging that kind of thing. Because don't you notice, like, as a musician, and especially as your name builds up and your recognition builds up and stuff, all of a sudden people kind of open up their minds a little bit more and probably accept it, right?
They do. Yeah. When I first dropped my first jazz album, it was called Hip to Bop, and they said, hip to bop, hip hop and bebop, that doesn't go together. And then we're like, this is way before any of this hip hop jazz movement was going.
Sure.
Nobody was. We're talking about 2004 When people were like,
Yeah, right.
I mean, the only thing closer to that was jazzmatazz, and that was like something totally different.
Right.
I was going for something a little more organic and less loopy, and just like, you know, jazz basically. How I saw jazz now. I felt like that was like, man, we could just. So my records are not a bunch of overlaying and stuff. Like, we're literally playing, pressing record, and we're and then stop, and that's the record, and we get mix and master.
Yeah.
When I do those jazz records, these instrumental records, if I'm doing tracks or something, that's different.
Right.
When I produce for other people or film scoring or something, but I really want my jazz records to breathe.
Yeah.
You know, so that's important to me when I do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you have coming up in the fall? I know that you said that you might be back in December. Are you touring now in the fall and into in the summer and the fall, all that stuff?
Yeah, I'm touring like all over. We're going to like Australia.
And this is with your band?
Yeah, with my band. We're going to Australia, Japan, China. And
wow.
I believe we're trying to add New Zealand to that run.
Wow.
As well. So that's cool.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm excited. The mood is like ringing all over. So
and you're really like, this is your thing now, so it's really pushing out. Are you doing everything yourself, or you have agents and stuff? Or
I have agents too. I have agents, and then all my records have been on my record label, Mobetta Music. It was Brown Records for the longest, and then I switched it to the production company, which Mobetta Music Inc.
Yep.
So, but this last record I did Mobetta Music Inc. with partnership with Rope-A-Dope.
Sure.
And so that's also giving me like a further reach, I believe, in
that's a great label
community, and they're very selective and very like, you know, very nichey. So
Snarky Puppies.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
So
they seem to be doing pretty good.
Yeah. Tess Martin. And There's a lot of really cool projects that Rope-A-Dope, Lakeisha Benjamin, a lot of that they're picking up recently. I Knew Son. So definitely check out Rope-A-Dope.
And they're also a label that allows the artist to do what the artist wants to do.
Oh yes, Lewis is very good about that. He's very much, he wants you to look at him as a support system, which is cool because I think it's a very noisy climate out here, you know, especially to be by yourself. So when you can have like people that have your back, and you know, like if you need something out, there's a whole team sitting there ready to shoot things wherever you need it to. That's a great thing to have, you know. The in-house department there, and all the people are great to work with.
Yeah.
And they really care about the music and love the music, or else they won't take it on.
That's the key these days. And you and I could sit and we'll do another whole episode the next time you come in about music distribution and all of that, because that's like a 2-hour conversation.
Oh, yeah.
But I want everybody to know, so mauricebrown.net is the place to go check everything out on your end. Is that a good spot to send them? Yeah,
mauricebrown.net for the website. You can get the links to everything else, like Instagram, Maurice Brown Music, and Twitter, Mobetta Brown. So
we'll link it up below too if you're watching the video. For sure.
So like I could just point there, right there.
Right there. All right, so Maurice, thanks so much again for coming in. mauricebrown.net. I mean, this is incredible. He's from Chicago now. He's worldwide, doing so many incredible things. And man, the stories you were telling, it's like, I love it. I love it. We got to have you back next time you're in town.
I'd love to.
And I promise we'll have some incredible hot dogs as well.
Yeah, these were pretty good too. Too bad we were talking so much because I wanted to finish eating that.
I know. Well, you know,
is it called? Well, it's kind of warm still.
Yeah, you know, I'll get some more. We'll get some more. All right. Thanks for watching, and until next time, we will see you somewhere out on the scene.
Peace and love.